tonight's coverage of the BTDY Racing League Chase for the BTDY Cup. There's no place like home here at the Kansas Speedway for race 1.
Well, here we are for race number 4 of the season. It's the BTDY FloridaSkinDoctor.com Racing Series. And tonight, it's a new season still underway. We haven't really got the feel for this car just yet. Some of the names that we're familiar with, though, at BTDY starting to succeed. And with this, it's time for the Kully Pipe and Steel 180. I had it there in front of me, Alex. I'm still second guessing myself. 150. It's the Kully Pipe and Steel Supply 150. At Gateway, we're at Worldwide WeatherTech. It's usually not a tongue twister for me to get through these intros, but I think what threw me off the most is I haven't covered a BTDY race in about 12 months. So here I am. I'm back. The last time I saw these guys was at Darlington, and I was on the racetrack with them.
It's been a year for you since you've covered BTDY. It's been my entire life before I've covered BTDY. This will be my first time I'm filling in here for this series. Looking forward to it, though. I've heard nothing but good things. They've been around for a good while now, so should be a good show tonight.
Absolutely. They put on some fantastic racing. One of the oldest leagues here on VSPEED that we have covered. I believe it's over 15 seasons that they've been putting together. So just a lot of history here, a lot of people that we're familiar with in other series with Saturday night racing and across the board for Wednesday nights. And these guys had the contender series at one point here on Mondays, but Tuesdays has been their day for a long time. And this Tuesday, it's going to be a great one. Look at the points, though. This is where things get a little bit interesting. We were talking about how some of these drivers not used to this car yet. Keith Mayato out to a decent start, but Bailey Turner in just 2 starts has tied him in the points. Turner off to an excellent start. He has been hot on every series he's been in as of late.
It's worth noting, though, while Bailey Turner was last week's winner, I do not believe he will be taking the green here tonight, which is going to be a huge opportunity for some of these guys in the top 10 to try to make some ground on that 24 machine. Mayato is here tonight. He's put together a really solid qualifying effort as well, but could be interesting to see how the points shake out with Turner not on the field tonight.
And that it will be. And, you got some names that are back here kind of off to a late start as well. Some drivers that have, on a limited schedule, maybe got a late start to the season. And so we'll have to keep an eye on how they perform here tonight. It's a racetrack that's between a speedway and a short track. It's kind of a flatter Darlington, if you will. It's egg-shaped oval, just like we have there at Darlington. And you take a look at this speedway. Opened January 1st, 1997. It's just outside of St. Louis, Missouri, and the 1.25 miles, it's kind of that in between like you would have at Dover. And so it's flat. It's a little bit slow, but we've got long straightaways to get around this place. And we'll take a look at our race analysis just before we hit the grid. 100 laps, 45 mile per hour pit road speed limit, 4 tire sets available, 3 green, white checkered attempts, 80% fuel, and on a custom fixed setup here tonight. With that, though, it's time to take you trackside and get the grid up on the screen. Starting on the pole here with a 33.771, it's Brody Hayes in the 37. His teammate to the outside, Keith Mayato, in row number 1. Row number 2 goes to Levi Cox. Noah Mahalski will start in 4th. Michael Kostick, Chris Samard for row number 3. Daniel Cunningham and Jace Kully is 7th and 8th. And rounding out your top 10, it's Dennis Faircloth and Ryan Phillips.
Yeah, back in 11th, you've got Alan Dice alongside Cody Atkins making up row number 6. Brody Wagner, Michael Jones make up row 7. Chase Abel alongside Jake Maki in row 8, Max Cost and Todd Giles in row 9, and then Colton Frey Miller and Christian Blackwell rounding out your top 20.
One more cars with Jeremiah Hobbs and Dallas Sullivan in the final row here tonight. With James Loveland, Zach Smith electing not to take a qualifying time. Here we go, live from Gateway. Brody Hayes is going to take us into turn 1. And BTDY week number 4 is underway. Lap number 1 is going to go to Brody Hayes from the pole. Keith Mayato and Levi Cox all single file out. And then you have Noah Halsey taking a dive here to the inside line, running it a little bit lower than everybody else there in the 1 and 2. Don't know if that's going to hurt the tires or if that's a faster way around. We had a car on the wall in the back. I think that was Michael Jones. No, that was the 27 of Ryan Phillips that just tagged along.
Yeah, we're now taking a look at this battle here. The 27 of Phillips trying to hold on to that top 10 spot as they run right now. Under pressure down low from Dice. Here comes Wagoner to the inside as well.
Again.
Boy, he's having a really tough time here in the opening couple laps, keeping that thing settled.
Tag there on the wall. 27's lost about 4 positions now as he'll lose another one to Jake Mackey. Michael Jones, the next one in line. Everybody going by this 27. And Michael Kostick. Chris Simard getting a little bit heated up here for the top 5. A peek there to the outside by the 77. He's all over the rear end of Jace Kully.
That he is as we jump on board. Taking a look, diving into turn 1 here with Simard. Gonna roll into that middle lane. I don't know if that's exactly what he wanted to do, but he's gonna diamond off the corner. With a nice little run down the back straightaway, trying to reel in Kully here. This is that battle for 5th. Kostick and Faircloth not too far back from him either. This field already getting really strung out here in the opening couple laps, which to be expected at a place like Gateway where it's really tough to be running side by side lap after lap.
When I was watching, Faircloth is a lot higher approach there in 3 and 4, and he's actually trail braking a lot longer than these guys. He's getting a better entrance, but the exit, that's where he's losing a lot of his ground. And right there out of 1 and 2, you saw it again. That's the tighter of these 2 turns. He could probably afford to do what he did in 3 and 4, but I think if you run that same approach in 1 and 2, you're going to overshoot the corner because that apex is a lot shorter.
Yeah, it really is. And, you know, over a couple of laps, you may not see a huge difference, but as this run continues and they start putting more laps down, I think you're really going to see the effects of running that completely different line. We'll jump on board here with race leader Brody Hayes. He's got about a car length back to Mayato back there. Just trying to keep him at bay. You've got Cox who's settled into 3rd here, and that's a bit of a gap back to Mikulski in 4th. But right now, things looking good for the driver of the 37. Just kind of rolling that bottom, making his way off of turn 4. They'll be bringing him back to the line here. 6 laps already in the books, and Hayes has led them all.
27 of Phillips finally stopped hemorrhaging positions. Looks like he's figured out the exit of these corners. So he stopped right around the 14th spot, got back around Jake Mackey, and now back up to 13th. So, yeah, once you start wearing the right side of this car off, it's a good sign you're overdriving it.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to jump on board here. You can see the gap that has formed. Phillips right now in 13th. Just trying to find something that he'll get a little bit more forward momentum. See, they really launched off the corner. We'll be bringing it back down to the turn 1 here. He's got some company behind him, though. That's Jake Maki in the 13. Nice little battle here as well for 15th. See, they're going to look to the inside now. That's the 31 of Hobbs. Trying to get by Jones there. We'll see if that Ryan Newman throwback is going to be able to get it down and around. Looks like he will be able to here on this side of the racetrack. He'll slide past Michael Jones for 15th.
Well, it's something we didn't talk much about there in the pre-race. It is so tough to pass. It's similar to New Hampshire. It's similar to Martinsville, where you almost have to move a guy out of the way. But it seems like with these ARCA cars, it's a little bit multi-grooved, and I think the middle line seems to be working better. It's just that if you get to the inside of somebody that is running down that middle line, like Keith Mayato was in 1 and 2, I think for the 54 of Levi Cox, even if you got to the inside, coming off of this exit, you just can't get to the throttle as soon as the guy on your outside, so you're going to have to back out and probably hang back into the position you already started.
Yeah, we're taking a look here. Mayato got a great run down the front straightaway. He is right there on the back bumper of Hayes. See off the bumper cam of the 37, you can just reach out and touch the front bumper of Mayato right now. We'll see if he tries to make a move here. No, he's going to actually back up the entry to the corner just a hair. Going to try to roll it. Man, he just got right through the center of that corner, though.
He's Mayato,
you can tell
over the back bumper.
Yeah, you can tell that he's, I think, a little bit quicker right now than Hayes. It's just a matter of figuring out where on the racetrack can you make that move, as it looks like Cox might be trying to make a look for second, or at least he had thought about it.
He's there. He made the look, sideways off the corner. Mahalski saves it. He's all by himself and almost turned that car.
Yeah, and I mean, that wasn't even a matter of, someone's running alongside you, maybe takes a little bit of air off the back. He's in his own little patch of real estate right now, just having some trouble keeping it settled. Luckily for him, though, it's not going to cost him because he had built up a pretty sizable gap back to Kully in 5th.
So for Jeremiah Hobbs, he's gained 7 positions already. This 31 car started back in 21st. He's on the move. He was working on the 28 of Brady Wagoner. But it looks like he's kind of went stagnant. He was passing one at a time per lap there for a minute. And the Caterpillar 31, he's definitely got some speed. Seeing some side-by-side just behind him with Michael Jones, Jake Mackey, and the number 13. And for the 13 car, it seems like this middle run is where he starts to fade out a little bit.
Yeah, right now, you see there's Mackey running the inside lane. He's right behind Michael Jones. Has a mirror full as well of Dallas Sullivan, who did not take a qualifying time. Sullivan trying to work his way forward a little bit. He's up about, say, 3-4 spots at the moment. We'll jump on board here. This is the back bumper of Jake Mackey in the 13. And you see, once you get past Sullivan and Abel, there's a huge gap back to the last little bit of the field. This is really where this mid-pack kind of ends. So, if you are Jake Mackey right now, really trying to hold on to that track position, but if you do lose out a couple spots here, that's about as far back as you can fall reasonably here before we hit the competition caution at lap 25.
Yes, and I forgot to mention that, so glad you brought that up. We do have competition cautions in this series. Kind of reset this field a little bit. We're just over 10 laps shy of that. Something else that I have to get used to. We have stages in most of these series, but here in the ARCA series, they do a competition caution. Gives in the real counterpart, in the real life counterpart, it gives these drivers a chance to kind of figure out their numbers, figure out their fuel strategy, their pit strategy. And for a lot of ARCA teams, their pit crews are kind of the mid-tier. They're not the worst in the world, but they're definitely not pit crews that, are going to bust out a 13 or lower pit stop. So here on iRacing, it's still somewhere around that mark with 14-second pit stops. But in real life, sometimes they come down pit road and put fuel in these cars. It takes almost a full 18 seconds.
Yeah, for sure. And that also is like on the upper edge for some of them. Some of these teams, in the ARCA series, they're just happy. Oh, boy, Mayato really forcing the issue there, coming off of 2. Just barely able to keep that thing off the wall, trying to stay ahead of Cox here for second. As we watch this fantastic battle unfold for P2 on track, it's letting Hayes start to get away just a little bit. That side draft and starting to pull the 2 of them back.
'54 has been working on Keith Mayato for about 10 laps now. He just can't complete that pass. Seems like every time he gets to the inside, it's through 1 and 2, and that's the harder part of this racetrack, to complete that. If he could get to his inside in 3 and 4, he might be able to make it stick.
So he'll take another crack at it here, running the 1 lane higher through 3 and 4 compared to Miato. Going to try to get a little bit of that momentum off the corner. And a little far back to make something happen this time. So he'll settle back into third. Tell you, it's really telling that the only way I think that Hayes has gotten any separation from Miato or Cox is when the two of them have run side by side. Because the moment they get nose to tail, they just start reeling him in once again.
Yeah, as soon as they single file out, and that's kind of the product of this car. We talked about it a little bit in a previous race. I think we had an ARCA Series race that we covered together or something earlier on, maybe a one-off, but I remember talking about how this car could pull side draft, and it wasn't so much that it pulls side force like the Cup, but it sucks the car towards the other one. So it affects the handling, and so that driver kind of has to check up a little bit to regain control. It's not that he's getting pulled back, it's just the car becomes so unstable with someone on the right rear quarter panel.
Yeah, it really does. We'll take a look here. There is Cox kind of hanging out, trying to take an eye to that back bumper again, and Miato trying to figure out what it's going to take. As we'll jump back to this battle here. Michael Jones, that's Dallas Sullivan, going to slide on by on the inside. I don't know if it's by choice or by design, but I don't think I've seen another car run as high in 3 and 4 consistently as I have seen with Michael Jones so far tonight.
Oh, he's going to almost run into the back of Dallas Sullivan there. Yeah,
that's a jump scare.
I don't know if it's by design or if maybe he's just trail braking a little less than everybody else. Some of these guys think that saving tires equates to not using the brakes as much, and that's not the case. Usually you save more by slowing down enough to take the corner. So I think for some of these guys, it's going to be a learning curve. And this car, we're still learning it. It's relatively new. We have another new car here on the iRacing service that I'm excited to talk about. And if you don't know, we do our yearly BTDY VSPEED Invitational Series, and everyone from all the series, BTDYs, SNR, everyone's invited to that. It's an exclusive series for everyone that has been broadcasted through VSPEED, and so we plan on advertising that this week, but the details are out there. We'll be going to 4 different tracks as before, one of each, and it'll be a 2-day event with 2 splits. We'll eliminate it down to 36 drivers, I believe is the count, and take it on to Saturday. So that'll be the second week of July, the 11th and 12th. The details will be coming out to all of you that watch here on VSPEED and all the drivers that participate in the races. You're all welcome to join as we have trouble. The 8 of Dennis Faircloth sideways down the backstretch, and I think that was Cody Atkins that was involved with it.
Yeah, and that will be marked as now the competition caution. It's within the window. But boy, that is going to be the first caution. And both of those cars were running pretty good. They were within the top 10 at the time of caution.
That's actually the 65.
That is Jace Kully, who got tangled up there with Faircloth.
Back this up one more
Kully
time.
was running up in that 5th spot for a while. Looks like he was falling back a little bit.
Remember what I was telling you just a moment ago, when the car gets beside you, that right side, it pulls you towards them? We just saw that.
Yeah, there it is. The gift of prophecy strikes once again here in the VSPEED booth, this time for you there, Bradley.
Yeah, I don't like speaking things into existence, but that is the competition caution here. Got to watch those steps that jettison out of the middle of pit road. I don't know if they actually count as a contact, but I wouldn't want to try it because I know how tire barriers, it looks like they can go through them. Okay.
Yeah, I'm about to say, even if I could, I don't think I'd chance it still. That's just a little too tempting fate for me.
Yeah, we know how tire barriers at Sonoma work. They don't move.
No, they do not. If last week on Racing Rev was any indication.
Down
It's
the
a
way
nice
for
little
Hayes.
good stop for Samard.
Yeah.
77 crew going to work.
Smart. I think ended up getting, 3 spots out of that.
Yeah. Nice stop there for Cody Atkins as well. 55 crew put him out on a 13.9. That might have been the fastest of that cycle. Huge stop for the 55, getting him some more track position here.
Started in 12th. He's lost 2 positions here, but I think part of that was because that incident happened right around him. He had to check up. He'll go around Dennis Faircloth and gain one of these spots. I think the cause of caution, I don't know if they're going to EOL the 80 car or if they're going to EOL the 65 on this one. But the lights should
on
go
my
out.
end, I'm seeing the 80. So I believe they're going to put this one on the 80 at Dennis Faircloth to take an end of line.
Lights are out on the pace car. Brody Hayes, Keith Maiato, keeping it on this front row. I mean, they've been trading back and forth all day. Gain a little bit, give a little bit back, and I think most of it was because Maiato is back there trying to save his stuff, and Levi Cox is trying to get around him. So I think that's what allowed Brody Hayes to just kind of pull away, because the defense that Maiato had to play that entire run kind of hindered him from making any offense. He had to completely change his strategy and defend that second position. I know it's going to be tough to get back around the 54 if you let him by, so I don't blame Keith for doing that, but at the same time, maybe you just let the 54 go to the inside, let him burn his stuff up, and you'll see him in 10 laps. I don't know. I don't know what the case will be. We're going to find out here as we go to what would be the second part of this race after that competition caution. We're lined back up, and the Kully Pipe and Steel Supply 150 at Gateway ready to get back underway in this new generation ARCA Series car. BTDY Racing Series back in St. Louis.
Nice little start there for Hayes. Going to slide back in front of Maiato. Maiato will hold on to second. Tell you what, Mikulski's giving Cox a lot to handle there for third. The 03 was right there trying to take away that third spot going on the back straightaway. He's still there going into 3 on that high side.
Side by side from third place back to around 10th position. They got 3 wide back here with Daniel Cunningham just behind him. And it's Alan Dice now stuck in it. It's a hornet's nest back here in 12th.
Yeah, I'll tell you where I don't want to be right now, and that is exactly what we're looking at. You know, if you're Alan Dice and Dallas Sullivan being caught in the middle 2-3 wide on a restart, everyone dodging around for position, that is going to be an intimidating time. Oh, someone lost it in the back. The 15 goes around Christian Blackwell. Looks like we're going to stay green for now, but he lost it from the tail end of the field.
And the Coors Banquet Machine, I got to say, I love that paint scheme, and I love that save. He kept it going just enough that we didn't bring out a caution. But unfortunately for him, he's going to lose about 12 seconds on the rest of the field.
They'll keep trucking along here as Hayes and Maiato starting to try to open it up for Mikulski. Cox has fallen back to 5th now as the 77 has gotten around to 4th as well. Cox looked super fast in that opening run, but now getting marred back in traffic a little bit.
Like you said, Samard with a good stop there, put him in a better situation. The 77 is bad fast, but you know, you talk about back where he started this race, I figured he would have been up here already. Starting in 6th. Never really had the chance, and I think he fell back to almost the edge of the top 10 there at the start.
Yeah, well, you want to talk about some big movers here. How about the guy there running 8th? Jeremiah Hobbs up from 21st. He's made a big move. So is the car 2 spots behind him. James Loveland up from 23rd to 10th. Both of these guys plus 13 as they run right now inside the top 10. We'll jump on board with Hobbs. Tell you what, he's had a really, really solid start to this race.
Most of these drivers, there's kind of a in-between choice, and maybe when they get a little bit older tires, they'll start to downshift. But I've been hearing some of these guys already. We were on board there earlier with Brody Hayes, and he was downshifting the 3rd gear in 1 and 2. And I don't know if that's the reason that him and Keith Maiato have been able to pull away from this field, is that they just downshift into that corner. They're getting a better drive off. Listen in. So that downshifting right there, it seems like it's giving him a better drive off. And he doesn't seem to be losing much time. We've seen that at other tracks. Most recent I could think of is at New Hampshire, and I know I've made that comparison once already, but some drivers were even taking the apron in this car, downshifting to third and driving below the white line to get that run.
And, you know, you do what you got to do. And, you know, Gateway, another one of those tracks, kind of like in New Hampshire, where there's not really a ton of banking to rely on. So you really need that car to be able to rotate without just pushing against the racetrack. And I think that's part of why you're seeing so many cars downshift and trying to get down to the apron and just finding anything they can to kind of hook the bottom. You see now Cox maybe going to take a look back at Samard. He's going to have a run to the inside here as a nose to the inside corner. What is he going to do with it off of 4? Looks like he's going to be able to hang there, almost some contact with the 77. And he's going to be able to pull his way alongside going into turn 1.
He'll stay there, but man, is he loose. He's sliding the back end out of that car. Just trying to get by. Not going to do it. He falls back behind him again. It's got to be frustrating.
Take a look here. That's Michael Kostick taking a look to the inside of Kully from 6th position. Kully, one of those cars who got caught up in the incident earlier with Faircloth. You see the 9 not going to be able to make the pass that time by. He'll slide back to 7th. Now he's got Hobbs still in the mirror.
Most battles all over this racetrack. We'll look on with the 27 of Ryan Phillips. Remember, he was hemorrhaging positions earlier in this race. He's kind of settled out around the 13th, 14th spot. Dallas Sullivan's ahead of him now. Sullivan up 9 spots. He's like one of the second or third biggest gainers of this race. You got James Loveland, who's gained a ton. We haven't mentioned his name at all here tonight. Look at him. 23rd.
You see, right now, hanging on to the back bumper of Cunningham. Gonna try to find his way around the 08 here, down the back straightaway. Got a decent run, didn't lose any time. Doesn't look like he gained much either. He's gonna back it up and just try to ease it in. He finished on the podium last week. Trying to go back to back here for the O2 machine.
Well, don't go anywhere. We have more coverage to continue for BTDY. We're going to take a quick commercial break and pay some of those bills for these drivers out here on this racetrack. Again, you are watching the Kully Pipe and Steel Supply 150 from Gateway. More coverage of BTDY right after this.
At Cynthia Rogers, MD Dermatology, we specialize in providing comprehensive expert care for the full spectrum of skin conditions, from complex skin diseases and skin cancer to aging concerns and aesthetic needs. With decades of combined experience in medical, surgical, and aesthetic dermatology, our team brings both deep clinical knowledge and a patient-first approach to every visit. Our practice focuses on developing personalized treatment plans tailored to each individual's skin, health, and life stage. We're located in Port St. Lucie, Florida, in the PSL Professional Center. Learn more or schedule a visit at floridaskindoctor.com.
We've been around since 1946, originated as a scrapyard and evolved into a full-on steel service center, buying and selling new steel products of light fabrication, such as cutting, shearing, bending, threading. We also run a wholesale pipe, valve, and fitting plumbing division, as well as a retail showroom outlet. And then we also are a full-on structural steel fabricator, which is the skeletal steel that you see in commercial and residential structures. We sell to a wide variety of contractors, plumbers, maintenance type personnel, underground utility companies. We sell anything from single nuts and bolts to like a typical hardware store type of feel, one fitting, to full semi-loads of pipes. We're a little deeper in our inventory, and we actually have maybe a little more specialized type of fittings and such. Stock quite a diverse inventory, so we try to keep everything here to keep you guys going.
Backed by 70 years of experience, Duncan Water Systems specializes in commercial and residential water system testing, design, installation, and maintenance. Our mission at Duncan Water Systems is to provide high-quality water solutions to every customer. We pride ourselves on being responsive, honest, and customer-oriented. Our priority is safer water for you and your family. Contact us via call, text, email, or visit us at duncanwatersystems.com.
At Cynthia Rogers, MD Dermatology, we specialize in providing comprehensive expert care for the full spectrum of skin conditions.
Welcome back here to our coverage at Gateway. Right now it's sitting with Brody Hayes and Keith Mayato still going to battle. 36 had an opportunity there for a moment as Hayes had kind of scraped the wall out of turn 2. You were watching it there in the side-by-side. And then we had two cars off the racetrack. Levi Cox and Brady Wagoner went off the racetrack in the background there, but they were able to save it well enough to keep this race under green at lap 43.
That they were, and we continue. Here, a nice little battle at the front. They have completely pulled out the gap here over Michalski and Samard. But these guys going at it, less than a tenth of a second down the back straightaway between Hayes and that 36, who has just been pressing and pressing and pressing. You know, these two are teammates, so I don't think they're going to really be trying to rough each other up too much. But boy, it says a lot about both of these guys that Miato can stay this close lap after lap, and it says a lot about Hayes that he's been able to hold off the 36 from making that move for the lead. Fantastic stuff at the front here, but I do wonder, how many laps, if you're Miato, can you hang behind your teammate before you decide, all right, I definitely have the pace, let me around?
Yeah, I think it's a patience game, and you're going to be more patient with your teammate in particular. But at a certain point, you're just faster, and you have to go. I think right now, Mayato's okay with just hanging behind because they're still pulling ground on the 03. But as soon as Noah Michalski starts to make up any time on that, Keith knows, hey, it's time to go. I got to get around you.
There is that battle for the lead one more time. You see the gap from first to second, only a quarter second. Gap back to Michalski in third, though, quite more significant. Almost 3 seconds now is the deficit between Hayes and to the 03 in third. Things are getting a little close just behind him, though. You see these most recent lap times, 34.7, also being matched by that 31. Tell you what, Jeremiah Hobbs, he's up to fifth. He's running the same pace, if not slightly quicker, actually, than the race leader, and he's doing that in traffic. At the moment, if the 31 here can get around Michalski in a second, I think Hobbs and a little bit of clean air is going to really start ratcheting up tension, starting to reel in those top two cars if he's able to keep putting down laps like that.
Yeah, if Hobbs gets around Michalski, that, I think, is the cue for Mayato to go around Hayes. That's when you know, okay, there's a car that's been gaining positions. Hobbs has not let up since we started this race. He gained about 10 spots as he brushes the wall air off it too. But he gained about 10 spots in the first stint there, 20 laps. And now he's gained about 5-6 more, and he's still on the move, up 17. And he's running a much higher line here through 3 and 4.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of cars take it, although admittedly when we've seen them earlier in this race, it didn't seem like it was working all too well for the cars we were watching. 31, though, I think he's doing something a little bit different, or maybe just executing better, running that line, because especially in 3 and 4, he is way higher up the racetrack And oh, he got a piece of the wall there, I think, or either him or Mahalski did. I want to say it might have been Hobbs, though.
Yeah. Yeah, either Hobbs or the 77. Somebody got a piece of it there. And I think we're riding on board with the 31. Yeah, he did touch it.
So that is the only thing, you know, when you are really pushing it the way the 31 is right now, have the opportunity to just overstep it a hair, and that is all it takes sometimes to really get a piece of the wall and, you know, start pushing in that right rear fender.
Running on board with Levi Cox. He's back up to 11th now. The 54 who got loose there and falling back to 13th. He got back around Alan Dice. He's on back on offense looking for that top 10. And it's Daniel Cunningham just in front of him. Daniel Cunningham in the 08. We can catch him on some VSPEED broadcast as well. He does some coverage for Goat Locker Racing and their IndyCar series on Wednesday nights.
A man of many talents.
Yes, he is. He's just recently came up here in the booth, and he's up there with the redneck announcer in that IndyCar series. That all under the umbrella of Eddie Smith. And what he does, he put together a great group of guys to bring you flag-to-flag coverage of all their series and their summer leagues. And we'll have fall coverage about 5 days a week there coming up somewhere around, I believe, September into October. The 54 is getting loose again.
Yeah, he certainly is, and I think that one might be a little bit of the fact that he's very much in traffic right now, and a lot of air, I think, got taken off of that fin on the back when they came off of turn 4. Just enough to get the back end of the car disrupted a little bit. You see, we're jumping on board here. This is the car behind him. We were on board with Cunningham. Just trying to find something happen. You see the 54 now diving in to the inside of Kully. He'll take away that 9th spot. We know that Cox is fast tonight. It's just a matter of, you know, executing. He was in the top 3 before the comp caution. Got shuffled a little bit back on pit stretch and then got really loose when we were side by side on the commercial. And speaking of side by side, Mayato, this might be the time he was thinking about it. He's still there as they go into 3.
Halfway through the event, I think he said enough's enough. I've been faster for a couple laps. It's time to go. Can't get clear of him.
Yeah, can't quite do it yet down the front straightaway. And Hayes will lead that lap once again, but that very well may be the last one he leads here. Mayato continues to hound the inside. Oh, he got a nice little exit off the corner there. Hayes tapped the wall. This could be it going into 3.
It's going to be a send down to the bottom, but it looks equal with their brake points. Throttle off the corner. Mayato gets pinched a little bit. Brody Hayes is going to hang on one more time. And Mayato is going to fall back in line. I don't think he's going to send it this time around.
Boy,
and it's going to be frustrating.
Yeah, I'm about to say, up until this point, you know, you're probably oh, the 37 really came down across the nose. Almost got into it here with his teammate from the lead. He'll hold on to it for now, but they took very conflicting lines there in 1 and 2, and they nearly met each other in the middle.
While this has been going on, Noah Mahalski 0.2 faster than both these cars up front. They were side by side, ran 35.1s. This time around, they settle back out. Identical lap times across the board for the top 3. Actually, Mahalski's still a little bit faster.
And we take a look here. 3rd and 4th running just a touch quicker than the leaders right now. You also see very notably running similar times to the leaders. Cox there back in 9th, running pretty similar. Hobbs was closed in. He's basically reeled in Mahalski here for 3rd. Mahalski, though, was one of the fastest cars on the racetrack that last time by, so starting to stabilize that gap that they've lost to the leaders. You can see the positions gained or lost. The big mover right now, Hobbs and then James Loveland, 2 spots behind him. Both of them up 17 as Loveland sits now P6, just ahead of Cody Atkins.
Next one in front of him is Michael Kostick in the 5th position. You know, Loveland would like to get a top 5 out of this, especially since he started all the way back and 23rd. That's second to last in this race. And now there's only 21 cars left on this racetrack. Max Koss, Dennis Faircloth, and Christian Blackwell have backed out of this event. Car loose in the background. That's the 08 of Cunningham. But I think he's going to try to make a move on the 5, or at least try to get clear of the 27. No, they're still going to go side by side. Dallas Sullivan just trying to figure out, where do I want to be? Which line do I want to choose in the 1?
I think it might be worth trying to take a replay of that. I think Jace Kully and Daniel Cunningham nearly got into it. And I don't think either of them are particularly happy about it. The 08 really sent it in there. 65 gets right down alongside him. Pinches him down the racetrack a little bit, and the 08 just said, nah, forced him up. But that cost him a ton of speed. That was
absolutely worth taking a replay to look at that.
Yeah. And it cost the 08 big time. I mean, he's fallen all the way back here into this battle with Sullivan, but, you know, Cully still runs 10th. And Cunningham down to 13th. Be very interested to see if those two get alongside each other again. Do they do something similar? Does it get more physical? I don't know. There's still a lot of racing left. A lot of opportunities to try to figure this one out. Hate to mention it now, but we got ourselves another battle for the race lead again. They were side by side just a moment ago through 1 and 2. Mayato, I think, is sick and tired of being stuck behind Brody Hayes right now. He continues to take a look to the inside.
Well, I thought we were going to have a battle for 3rd, and it looks like we still are.
Yeah, we are. Boy, that was almost calamity there. Hobbs made up an extra car length and a half going into turn 3. Nearly got right into the back of Mahalski. The 03 trying to hold on to 3rd as they run. And Hobbs, man, you give him just the slightest bit of an opening and he is just gunning for it.
Mahalski there. You look him up on Twitch. We're looking on board with Hobbs. He'll dive and peek to the inside again. There's contact. Hobbs moves to the 03. They're sideways.
Oh, they're sideways. And that is, they're in the grass. They're losing a ton of track position. And there's the yellow. Caution's out. Hobbs and Mahalski get together. I think the 31 may have just gotten a tad bit over ambitious trying to get around the 03.
And he's got to start all over again. That's most likely going to be an EOL penalty for the 31. But let's take it back on the replay and see what you think at home. I don't know. I mean, based off first glance, it looked like 31 just sent it in there to try to get by and sent it a little bit too far.
Yeah. It looks like he was just trying to get in there and just ran out of real estate. The 03 goes around to 31 in the grass. Tell you who this saved. It was the race leader, Brody Hayes. Mayato was alongside him again. And now they're all going to be coming to pit road. And the 37 going to have that top spot to exit pit lane on. But yeah, look at that onboard. Just drove it in there, trying to get under and around the 03. Did not work out.
So a caution right there around lap 60. And it brings everyone down pit road for around the time I think these drivers were planning on making their green flag pit stops. And Brody Hayes, like you said, gets bailed out. This is going to be even more frustrating. Keith Mayato will probably have to have a perfect restart and try to hang it on the outside to get around this 37 car.
See cars making their way off of pit road. Looks like Hayes and Mayato will be top 2. Michael Kostick, good stop here, gets him out to 3rd. He'll make his way off of pit road. Nice stop there for Samara. I tell you what, the 77 team, it's got some really fast pit stops tonight. Samara 14-0 again.
So there will be about 35 laps to go when we go back green. And we ran 38 laps on that stint. I don't think Keith Mayato can get around the 37 in that span of time. He's going to have to really push his stuff, and I don't know if he wants to do that because he risks kind of reeling the rest of this field back in. They might go single file again for 10 or 15 laps, get away from these guys, and then take a stab at it, but unless he gets to the outside going into turn 1, I don't predict Mayato, just based off his patience that he's shown today, I don't predict him to do anything dramatic like we just saw to bring out that caution.
I'll tell you what, one thing I'm keeping my eye on, there's a group of teammates here in these front 3 rows. Brody Hayes, and of course Keith Mayato making up row 1, but then the outside of row 2 and the outside of row 3, James Loveland, Chris Simard, all 4 of those guys are teammates with one another. Could be huge trying to figure this one out, at least as far as working together, but it also means you probably don't run them as tough as you would someone not on your team until the chips are down, because you don't want to wreck each other and cost you both a chance at the win. So really interested to see how this will sort out. I mean, Loveland has gone back to the front today, 23rd to 4th. Does he have some speed for either of the race leaders that we don't know about?
I don't know. I'm just in awe right now as they jump a really good restart here. Free flag back underway. Brody Hayes got a heck of a restart. He's gone. No chance
he'll
for
jump
Mayato.
out front. 36 is shuffled back the second. Loveland drops down to take away 3rd from Caustic. And Samard and Cox, your top 6, as they'll roar their way down into turn 3. Some side-by-side action picking up from 4th on back. That's the 77 of Samard, the 9 of Caustic, and they are 2 wide, multiple rows deep behind.
Samard, Caustic, Cox, Kully, Dice, and the 55, Coney Atkins. Also side by side. You take them while you can get them these fresh tires. You're going to use them up. And these next 35 cars in the wall. The 5 follows this 65, and Dice hits the wall hard. Now 3 wide down the backstretch.
Everyone flying past Alan Dice here, and to his defense, I mean, he was just following the 65 of Cully up the hill and just hammered the wall off of 2. Everyone had to make evasive maneuvers. Oh boy, everything just coming unglued right now for the driver of the 5, who had a pretty solid run going, and he has dropped back to 12th. And honestly, I think he's lucky it's only 12th with the way that hit was coming off of turn 2 last time around.
There's another driver that's part of this Team VSPEED who is controlling this top 5 now, 1 through 4. But there's one name missing from this list, and shout out there to Ryan Gemmel. He will be part of Lime Rock for the ARCA Series. I believe, if I read it correctly, it's his 2nd ever race in the ARCA Series, and it'll be at another road course. He participated at Watkins Glen last season. Pulled off a top 10 with an 8th place finish, and Team VSPEED on the C-post of that car. So hopefully, good luck there to Ryan Gemmel. I know he'd like to be out here with these guys, but he's got the real life stuff to kind of focus on this week.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's a trade you take 10 times out of 10 if you're just about anybody who had the opportunity to have what Ryan is going after here tonight. And, you know, he ran really well at Watkins Glen. Maybe the same can be said for Lime Rock. And Lime Rock's a track that these teams don't know nearly as much about.
Oh, into the wall!
Hayes heavy into the wall.
This could be it for the lead. It will be.
Boy, he hammered that wall off of turn 2.
The mistakes were made, and Keith Mayato might just set sail.
Boy, all it takes is that one moment Mayato didn't give Hayes a chance to breathe for the better part of 70 laps. And the moment Hayes made a mistake, Mayato capitalized. He's now to the point leading his first laps of the day. Brody Hayes, this is a big moment. How is he going to respond? He hasn't lost. Oh, he's big sliding again off of 2. Boy, that car wants to go any direction but forward right now with the way he's ripping it through 1 and 2.
And the same kind of scenario there for Noah Mahalski. Remember, he was part of that caution there on lap 60. He's recovered back to the top 10, but he has top 5 speed. He wants to get back up here. He's trying to get around the 27. There's contact between these two for 10. It's starting to get a little bit more intense as this race goes on.
Oh, you bet it is. See Mahalski looking to the inside of Cunningham, trying to make that pass work. We know Mahalski's fast, but right now, trying to sort his way through traffic. The 03 spent a better part of that opening, or the middle stint of the race, running in that third position before he got tangled up with Hobbs. On the back bumper of Ryan Phillips, trying to find his way through down the front straightaway. Little chain of 5 cars there, all nose to tail. Trying to sort this thing out, trying to figure out where they need to go. Maybe taking a peek to the outside, back to the inside now down the back straightaway. Looks like Dallas Sullivan thinks about a move on dice, but no dice. That was a horrible pun. I feel bad for even saying it.
Yeah, it's not the first time we've done that to Alan Dice.
I have no doubt. I have no doubt about that. As now Mahalski to the inside of Phillips. He's looking to take away that 9th spot, had the run off of turn 4.
Deep dive here into 1. Pushes up the racetrack a little bit here off the apron. The 08 of Cunningham also pushing up. They slide sideways, both of them synchronized, drifting out of turn 2. They'll stay door to door. There's contact. He makes him wiggle. He's still trying it into 3. He'll send it. Mahalski's still not able to clear him. And another punch on the throttle from the 27 of Phillips. He does not want to let this 03 go. Too bad, too late. 03 and Mahalski around.
He'll move up to P9 after a very hard-fought battle there with Phillips. You see the 27 going to try to go right back on the attack here to the inside if he can help it. He got real close there off of 2, but it's not going to be enough. And this is where Mahalski's, I think, going to start pulling away just a little bit. We jump back up to the front. Race leader, Keith Mayato, quarter-second advantage over Brody Hayes. He got the lead, but has not been able to drive away from the 37. And I'll be honest with you, Bradley, a little surprised about it.
Yeah.
Looks like whoever's been in second has been doing a really good job tonight, hanging on to the back bumper of the race leader.
Filling up that mirror, that's what these guys do here at VSPEED. They wait for you to ruin your race. And for Brody Hayes, I know it's a little awkward when you have teammates that make mistakes, but you got to put the pressure on. When it's all 4 of you up in the top 5, you have to go, hey, teammates don't matter anymore. There's positions to be grabbed, and when they're up for grabs like that, do whatever you can. Just try not to run into one another. Brody Hayes, of course, tags the wall out of 2. Mayato gets to the inside, and like you said, I'm really surprised as well that the 36 hasn't pulled away, as there's another stab to the inside. It might get to him, not this time.
It's not stopping him from trying, though. The 37 has been pretty quick here, even being relegated back to P2. Brody Hayes led the opening 68 laps of this race. Or sorry, 67. He got past on lap 68. And you see, just been hanging around now behind the back bumper with Keith Mayato. James Loveland, Chris Samard, not too far behind him either. Team VSPEED run 1 through 4. Then you get Levi Cox, who's back up to 5th here after an up and down day so far. The Big Fast Racing number 54 has put himself in position to try to get some of that spots back. Can't say enough so far about the drive that James Loveland has had. 23rd to 3rd so far today.
And that's why we're going to give him VSPEED Driver of the Day, James Loveland, gaining 20 spots. He's kept his nose clean and doing exactly what he needs to do to hold off Chris Samard. When you talk about a guy that puts in the work, puts in a lot of practice, I see Loveland, and I say James Loveland's name at least twice a week. I've seen him in other series. He's out here a lot. James Lehman is another name that comes to mind. It's been massive improvement. Team VSPEED obviously has been working together this week. When you put all 4 of your teammates up in the top 5 like this, you're running 1, 2, 3, 4. It's just a matter of bring it home.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't ask for a better day as a team. It's a matter of executing and finishing that. As I'm looking at this battle here between Hobbs and Cunningham, very notably to me though, Bradley, the car just in front of Cunningham, and now it's the 27 Ryan Phillips, but while they were side by side, it was the 65 of Chase Kully. Those two had gotten tangled up about 20 laps ago. Intrigued to see if there's still any bad blood between those two, or if cooler heads have prevailed now that we've gotten deeper into this race.
Well, the other one that you want to talk about is Noah Mahalski and Jeremiah Hobbs. So you got Cunningham and Kully who had issues. You've had the 80 of Dennis Faircloth, who had issues earlier in this race as well. And I think that was with the 55 of Cody Atkins. That one is subsided because Dennis Faircloth no longer in this race. But you still have these guys, and I know Jeremiah Hobbs is going to try his best to get back up to that 03 for these final laps.
And we know he's fast. I mean, he drove from 21st to 4th. We know the 31's got a ton of speed, but there's not a ton of time left in this race. 21 laps to settle it here from Gateway. What has he got left in the tank here to try to break his way back into the top 10? Trying to sort this out right now behind Cunningham and Phillips. They were almost side by side off the corner. Looks like Cunningham maybe given a lane, I think. Yeah, 31 was there on the outside. He's going to pull on through. And they'll slide up to P11. Well, at least temporarily. Cunningham fighting back on the inside. The 08 really good at those nice, like really deep corner entries. Has been really able to drive it in, especially in turn 3. But 31 going to be able to hold on to that spot. He now runs 11th. As we see the top 5 almost get a piece of the wall there. Loveland, I think, almost tapped it coming off of 2. And as close as he is to Brody Hayes, he's got a mirror full of the 77 and the 54.
Yeah, and I think Levi Cox is in the tail end of this battle. 1st through 5th are less than a second apart. 8/10 back for the 54. I think he would like to get up here and break up this 1 through 4 of Team V-Speed. He is sliding it into the corners, doing everything he can on board. Telemetry with Cox.
We have seen him get as high as 3rd so far today. This is about as high as he's run since then. Oh, he's going to take a look to the inside of the 77. Almost caught Samard by surprise. He still has a nose maybe to the inside here. Just barely. He's going to fall back hanging on the 5th. Nearly got to the inside of the 77 that time around. Yeah, now he's going for it.
He really got in there that time.
Yeah, did not wash up the racetrack as much as I thought he was going to, but had a little bit of trouble getting the car to rotate in the middle of the corner. He'll fall back to 5th again, but you can tell he's getting a little fed up trying to sit behind the 77 here. He knows it's go time if he wants to go after this race win. It's only a second away.
Mars starting to get a little bit tight there off of 4, but it's less than 20 to go at the stripe. 17 laps left. And Keith Mayato is starting to pull away. We're kind of in that middle of the run now. 22 laps on this stint since we went back green. And that was about the time that Keith Mayato started taking stabs at Brody Hayes. Had the 37 not made that mistake, I think you would still see Keith Mayato riding behind him. It wasn't until now that he was starting to attempt the passes, but it just kind of falls into your lap. And we were talking about the restart. If Keith could get to his outside, Brody Hayes just, I mean, he was gone. He was a rocket ship in that restart zone. He did everything right, but just made that slight miscalculation off the exit of 2, and that's all it took to lose the lead.
That's the other part. It's not only it's not only is it all it took to lose the lead, but now, unless Mayato makes a mistake, that might be the only misstep the 37 makes all day after putting it on pole and leading the most laps, and it still may not be enough here, as he's now over half a second back from the 36, and every lap that goes by, that mirror gets more and more filled with James Loveland in the 02. I mean, he is less than a car length away at this point. I do wonder if the 02 is going to try to take a step out here pretty soon and see if he has anything for the 36, because right now, hanging out behind Hayes is just starting to cost him a little bit of time.
Well, and you're biding your time, and you don't want to make that move and end up costing yourself a position. Chris Samard's right behind him, so if the 02 does decide to step out, Loveland could end up losing a spot and go back to 4th, and then it's back to the drawing board. When do you want to make this call? I don't know the right time for it. I mean, Levi Cox has backed off a little bit from these guys. This might be the opportunity to make that step. I say that, he's right back up there. Yeah,
that they are. You know, you see as they're running 2nd through 4th, particularly narrow, as we take a look at this battle. Hobbs clear of Cunningham. He's up to 11th. He's trying to get to the back bumper of Ryan Phillips. You see Alan Dice, Dallas Sullivan going to battle here for 13th. think we've seen these cars side by side a good bit of today. They've been very much making up some of the action we've been seeing here in the mid-pack of the field. The 5 and the 46. Sullivan to the inside. He also was one of those cars who did not elect to take a qualifying time. So Sullivan from 22nd up to 14th. He's up 8 spots from where he started today. We're on board with the bumper of the 5, and you can see just how close Sullivan is.
He's going to go to the inside, and 3 and 4, they're going to make contact. He moves him up the racetrack. The 5 of Alan Dice for 13th position. Shadow Planet number 5, going to hold on to it.
He got moved up the hill a little bit and just put the hammer down. Was able to hold on to that spot. Meanwhile, Loveland starting to fall. Oh, Loveland got tagged by the 77. Into the inside wall. Oh, disaster for the 02. He had driven up 20 spots over the course of this race. And now with just over 10 to go, it all comes unglued off the nose of his teammate. Man. Late race caution is going to put a big wrench into the mix as well, because Hayes has been so good on the restart tonight.
I know this isn't intentional. But man. Loveland was getting a little bit loose. He was trying to catch it. We'll watch it one more time from our blimp camera. Loveland's trying to hold on to this car. He was starting to lose a little bit of ground on Brody Hayes, so I was starting to wonder, because I saw that gap grow. That's why I threw the camera on it. And then we had the 54, but yeah, the 02 just gets loose. Samard really doesn't have anywhere to go. He lifted a couple times for him. Man, that's tough when it's a teammate, you know?
Yeah, and everyone down pit lane here. The money stop. 10 laps to go. This race off of pit road gonna be critical. Who is gonna be able to execute the best here? We've seen fluctuations of about a second on pit road tonight between the teams. Now is the time for a good one. 36 into his box, 37 into his box. Both of them look like they got in pretty cleanly. Oh, 2-tire stop for Hayes.
He's going to guarantee he gets back to that lead.
Oh, and Mayato down the 4th. Phillips and Mahalski with a 2-tire stop, jump in front of the 36. Oh boy, huge change here. 36 is not going to have, this is the first time the 36 is going to have to work through traffic all night. And we know the 37 of Hayes is so good on these restarts. Even with the 2-tire call, he'll be in the position he wants to be in. This is going to be really interesting.
No, Mahalski gets up there to the top 3. He's recovered back to where he was earlier in this race when he had the trouble between him and the 31 of Hobbs. But for James Loveland, it's all the way back to 20th now after that incident on the backstretch. His drivers lining back up. Lights are out on the pace car. We're going to have under 10 to go for this restart. Brody Hayes finds his way back to the lead. His teammate, Keith Mayato, who got around him there earlier. It's not over till it's over. I like this call. He's got a little cushion here with these 2 cars next to him as well on 2 tires. So that means Mayato's going to have to fight to get around these guys before he can even think about passing for the lead. I think Brody Hayes just made his race-winning call if he can keep it out of the fence.
It's going to be really interesting. He's on 2 tires. One thing that really intrigues me here is Ryan Phillips restarting on the front row. Highest we've seen the 27 tonight. He's on the 2-tire call. He could really throw a shocker here to the field if he gets a good restart and really gets into the mix here with Hayes. Cunningham and Samard back in row 3. Samard, much like Mayato, on 4 tires. I want to say Cunningham took 2. Huge mix of strategy here. Pace car peels away.
Barney the flagman drops it. Less than 10 to go. We're going 8 laps left. Brody Hayes jumps up in front. Have we seen the end of the cautions? I don't know. It's 3 wide through 1 and 2.
Oh, it certainly is. Mayato just shoves Ryan Phillips on through. Gets clear of Mahalski. Now he's going to take a look to the inside of the 27. And just like that, he's going to make his way back to second. A third of a second lead for Hayes, but with 7 laps to go, is that going to be enough? Because here comes Keith Mayato.
Here comes Chris Simard as well. He looked 3 wide for a moment there. No Mahalski on those 2 tires. Looks like he's struggling a little bit. And it's 3 wide again here with Cody Atkins. Caution is down in the background. Big wreck.
Huge wreck.
1. Loveland's involved again. Brady Wagoner, Michael Jones, the 91 of Zach Smith.
I was about to say, when you mentioned Loveland, I was about to say he's not the only one. There's about 5-6 cars who got caught up in that all at the tail end of the field. And boy, did that just work out perfectly for Brody Hayes.
Watch as we go into turn 1. You can see the dive there for Simard. And then it happens in the tail end here, and I'm not sure who starts. Right here with the 7.
Yeah, the 7 and the 28 get together. Chase Abel gets into it with Brady Wagner. Took one more look at it here, but it looks like I think the 7 may have gotten into the bumper of Dice in front of him. Got a little bit loose on the brakes, got shifted down right into the nose of Wagner, and then everyone behind him gets caught up in it.
14 of Todd Giles Jr. involved as well. Getting on board with them.
See the smoke, everything starting to wash up, and you could see he kept fighting for the bottom because you kept seeing all the smoke work its way up the racetrack, but unfortunately, just not enough clearance there between the grass and the cars that were coming to a stop.
Watch the wheel that the 91 of Zach Smith just locks it up. Barely touches the outside wall, but did what he had to do.
Yeah.
I think the worst damage here is going to come from the 28 of Brady Wagoner.
Well, this is going to be, yeah.
Decided, yeah.
Well, the 37 has been so good on the restarts, but now Mayato's back to the front on those 4 tires, and it looked like 4 tires was really eating up Mahalski and Phillips before that caution came out.
Yeah.
When they restart, it's going to be, what, 3 laps to go, probably?
It's going to be almost like a green-white checkered, a natural green-white checkered, yeah.
Boy, this is going to be something. The 2-tire call and this caution makes the distance that Hayes is going to have to travel on those 2 tires that much shorter, which is going to work in his favor, but is it going to be enough to hold off his teammate? We've seen these 2 dueling all night long. It's only fitting that they'll be going at it here for the race win.
Yeah, the 2 lead changes here in these 4 cautions has been between Brody Hayes and Keith Mayato. Hayes taking that lead back with that 2-tire call as the lights go out on the pace car. It's not quite a green-white checkered. It's 1 lap more. So that might play into the favor of the 36. I think that if this was 2 laps when we took the green, it'd be rather difficult. I think Brody Hayes could jump out far enough and defend. But with 3 of them, that's a little bit different. I think that helps Mayato
mile and a quarter.
Yeah, I think that helps Mayato get the momentum built up to make a stab for the lead. And that's if we don't get another caution.
Very true. And I am looking at it, and Mahalski and Phillips now run 3rd, 4th, which is creating a buffer between Mayato and the other cars on 4 tires there. Levi Cox and Chris Simard back in row 3. So the things have aligned perfectly for the front row, and different but fitting ways for both of them. And now it's time to see which of those 2 are going to work out. Pace car going to peel off this time around. When they go green, it'll be 3 laps to go here from Gateway.
Elbowed back up. Brody Hayes going to hit the loud pedal as soon as he can. He jumps on that restart zone. He'll get out ahead of the 36. 3 laps to go from Gateway.
Boy, the 37 of Brody Hayes so good on these restarts tonight. Is it going to be enough, though, to hold off his teammate? Quarter seconds, the gap as they make their way down the back straightaway. And Miato is closing in the turn 3.
2 tires versus 4. Teammates that have dueled all night long. 2 to go when they cross this stripe. Brody Hayes holds on to the lead. A decent run out of the corner. Contact with the wall back here for the 9 of Caustic.
Up front, Miato got a good run into the corner, but not going to be enough that time. By holding on to it, digging to the inside. He might have inside position here down the back straightaway. This could be the move for the lead. Miato diving into turn number 3. However, Hayes drives it in as deep as he can. They're side by side through the middle of the corner. Oh boy, here we go. White flags in the air.
Samar gets loose in the background one more time around. And it's side by side for 3rd position with Samard inside and Noah Mahalski. They touch doors.
Each other.
Oh,
someone's spinning in the back. Hayes has the lead again, though. Heavy contact for Cunningham and Caustic. Miato going to try to give it one more go off of turn 4.
Checkered flag in the air. Caution. Oh, man. Big contact between the 03 of Mahalski and the 54 of Levi Cox, but it is Brody Hayes with a 2-tire call. He finds his way to victory lane with 77 laps led. That is 3/4 of this race.
And yet somehow it felt like he had to steal it, even though he led 3/4 of this one. What a battle between him and Keith Miato. Boy, that was a show. What a finish. Take one more look here. This is that contact for 3rd off of turn 4. Looks like Mahalski and Cox got into it.
And we could go back even further and maybe take a look at the stab for the lead. Right here, going into 3 and 4. I thought Miato had it, but good defense on the outside.
I truly did too. I mean, he had the inside position. It's just such an aggressive pinch. But it worked out for him because he was able to maintain that run down the front straightaway. I'm genuinely shocked that the 37 on 2 tires was able to hold on to the outside like that.
Post-race interviews with your top 3. Those final race results as BTDY and the FloridaSkinDoctor.com racing series has concluded. Race number 4. More coverage post-race on VSPEED right after this.
At Cynthia Rogers, MD Dermatology, we specialize in providing comprehensive expert care for the full spectrum of skin conditions, from complex skin diseases and skin cancer to aging concerns and aesthetic needs. With decades of combined experience in medical, surgical, and aesthetic dermatology, our team brings both deep clinical knowledge and a patient-first approach to every visit. Our practice focuses on developing personalized treatment plans tailored to each individual's skin, health, and life stage. We're located in Port St. Lucie, Florida, in the PSL Professional Center. Learn more or schedule a visit at FloridaSkinDoctor.com.
We've been around since 1946, originated as a scrap yard and evolved into a full-on steel service center, buying and selling new steel products of light fabrication, such as cutting, shearing, bending, threading. We also run a wholesale pipe, valve, and fitting plumbing division, as well as a retail showroom outlet. And then we also are a full-on structural steel fabricator, which is the skeletal steel that you see in commercial and residential structures. We sell to a wide variety of contractors, plumbers, maintenance type personnel, underground utility companies. We sell anything from single nuts and bolts to like a typical hardware store type of feel, one fitting, to full semi-loads of pipes. We're a little deeper in our inventory, and we actually have maybe a little more specialized type of fittings and such. Stock quite a diverse inventory, so we try to keep everything here to keep you guys going.
Backed by 70 years of experience, Duncan Water Systems specializes in commercial and residential water system testing, design, installation, and maintenance. Our mission at Duncan Water Systems is to provide high-quality water solutions to every customer. We pride ourselves on being responsive, honest, and customer-oriented. Our priority is safer water for you and your family. Contact us via call, text, email, or visit us at duncanwatersystems.com.
At Cynthia Rogers, MD.
Welcome back to our post-race coverage here on VSPEED, and BTDY has concluded week number 4 here at Gateway, and it was a phenomenal finish. I know you kind of put it the best way that I've never really heard anyone put it any better. It felt like he had to steal it away, even though he dominated the race. That stuck with me here, Alex. Brody Hayes finds his way to victory lane, and what could be, the call of the season. 2 tires here down pit road with less than 10 to go. It was a genius call. He held on for 3 laps and gets the victory. He led 77 laps today, but those last 3 were the most important, with Keith Maiato to his inside with 2 to go. He's going to finish second. Noah Mahalski third. We'll get a word with those drivers. Mahalski also on 2 tires. Recovered his race after having problems earlier in the midway point. Then it's Levi Cox in the 54. He also had some issues. He got loose on his own there during a commercial break, and he brings it back up to a top 5. Chris Simard finishing 5th. Ryan Phillips on 2 tires. He'll finish in 6th. Jeremiah Hobbs, who had an EOL penalty getting into the 03, he'll finish in 7th. Alan Dice, he's going to finish 8th. Dallas Sullivan, great race for him. He gained 13 positions. So Hobbs up 14, Dice up 13, Sullivan, and then it's going to be Jace Kully rounding out your top 10.
Back in 11th, then, it'll be Cody Atkins finishing just ahead of Chase Abel. James Loveland, after getting up to 3rd, will end up having to settle for 13th here tonight. Todd Giles Jr. finishing 14th. Brady Wagner, 15th here this evening. 16th tonight will be Zach Smith, just ahead of Michael Jones. Colton Freymire finishes 18th here tonight. Daniel Cunningham in 19th, and Jake Mockey, the last car on the lead lap, in 20th.
4 more cars to talk about here with Michael Kostick, and then it's cars that left the race early for Max Cost, Dennis Faircloth, 61 laps down, and Christian Blackwell in the 15, rounding out your field, 65 laps down. Now it's time to bring up your top 3. And the first driver we're going to pull up into the booth is your 3rd place finisher. It's Noah Mahalski, your 3rd spot. And Noah, with that 2-tire call, I got to say, it was pretty genius. It got you back up there. It recovered your race. You had some problems earlier. Give us your take there on that send into turns 3 and 4, or actually into turns 1 and 2. What's your opinion on how that went? And then, carry on with how you recovered your day.
Well, yeah. So we were shifting down in 1 and 2 just because I felt like it kind of helped the balance of the car pretty well. We were trying that the whole race, and then Brody and Keith just kept pulling away. So we experimented, tried not shifting, and just nothing worked. So I just kind of made my mind up that we were just gonna settle in 3rd and just hang there. And then 31 started getting close, and then he just went in a little too deep into, I think it was 3 and 4. And I was a little heated, can't lie. But we made our way up to, I think, like 8th, that second to last stint. And my tires were killed. It took so much to try to get around everyone. It's a pain to pass here. So track position was everything. And I noticed our tire wear wasn't terrible on the left sides. So when that caution came out, between the second to last stint and the last stint, we took the 2 tires and didn't know how it was going to handle. I was trying to burn some fuel off under caution because I put a little too much in it to help the balance. But we hung in there, and then fun racing Levi to the line there at the end. I didn't mean to hit him, but I didn't really have much more track to move up. So, but great race all around.
Well, Noah, again, this goes back to making these calls and kind of being on top of your game. The 03 has definitely been a factor, a guy to contend with every single week here at BTDY. So now on the podium, kind of relax you a little bit going next week to Lime Rock?
I don't know. I haven't drove the cars there. Don't have a whole bunch of experience at Lime Rock, and I'm not a great road course racer. I'm trying to kind of work on that at the moment. So we'll see, because I know Arca's there this week for the officials. So we'll probably do a couple races, see how it feels, and maybe it'll help us for next week.
Again, congratulations on this top 3. I know you had to work hard for it and recover this race. The Matt Black Monster Energy AutoZone Chevy SS. Anybody you want to thank?
Yeah. Just the whole VSPEED crew. You guys, hopefully we put on a decent show. It's a little hard to pass here, but hopefully it was interesting. But you guys always do a great job in the broadcast booth. I'd like to thank the league, because, I mean, could have been a lot worse. We could have had a lot more cautions than we did. But it's relatively clean. And then all the league sponsors, and then all my friends and my girlfriend for watching.
Appreciate your time, Noah. And I know they were shouting you out in the chat. We'll take you back there, and hopefully you can go back and watch the replay of this race. You guys did put on one heck of a show, and I hope you enjoyed tonight's action. We'll see you in 1 week's time when we go road course racing at Lime Rock.
Sounds good. Thank you, Bradley.
Noah Mahalski, 3rd place, started in the top 5, brings it home in the top 5 with 1 position gained. We're going to move on to our 2nd place finisher, and this is interesting because these guys traded back and forth all night long. Keith Mayato, Alex Gagnon has caught up with him.
Hey there, Keith, you got a comment?
10-4.
I tell you what, you and Brody were putting on quite a show up at the front of the field tonight. You guys, by far, the class of it here tonight at Gateway. Led 23 laps. You were basically within a stone's throw of the race lead at all points. Now, you had it for a while, and then, you know, the pit stop right at the end of that race, you took 4, he took 2. What were you thinking on the 4-tire call, and what would have had to go differently for you to pick up the race win tonight?
I think if we went green after that pit stop to the end where I would have had, 8 laps to work on them, I think it would have been fine. But with the caution coming out right, 2 laps after we went green, and then it just gave me about 3 laps to work on them and getting through the cars that were, actually, I think I got through those guys, but either way, yeah, 3 laps wasn't enough. It's just one of those decisions you make. You hope that taking the 2 tires, that they're going to lose, that drive off. It's going to be really loose for them, but it was enough to hold me off.
Yeah, I mean, you were close there. You were side by side with them with about a lap and a half to go. It looked like there may have been a really big pinch there from the 37 off of 4 coming to the white flag. Is that where you were seeing, or was that just you guys duking it out there for the race win?
Oh, for sure, yeah. I could definitely feel it, and I was actually, I'm not surprised. You know what I mean? That's what he's got to do to protect my run, because if he didn't, I would have got a lot of better drive off and maybe had a chance going into 3 and carrying that speed out of 4. But you know what? He actually he gave me quite a few pointers during practice, and I think he learned that's probably the last time he's going to give me some advice on the track.
Yeah, it almost came back to bite him here tonight. But a great run for you. Led a bunch of laps. We're up basically either first or second the entire night. Keith, congrats on the podium and a fantastic start to the season. Anyone you'd like to shout out here tonight?
Yeah, first of all, shout out to Brody, give me some tips on the track, which definitely helped me because I was like 2/10 off the pace there off his pace during practice. Kully Pipe and Steel Supply for sponsoring the race tonight, and awesome job that yourself, Alex, and Bradley did tonight.
I appreciate it. And Keith, thank you so much for dropping by the booth here tonight. Congrats on the podium finish, and we will see you next week at Bradley. Where are we headed next week? Was it Lime Rock you were saying?
Lime Rock, yeah.
Very fun. Keith, before you go, actually, how do you feel about the road courses? Obviously, in the ARCA cars, always a bit of an adventure.
I'm gonna say so. I don't think I have done a road course in the ARCA car. I've done many laps at Lime Rock, so it's gonna be interesting going into a road course at Lime Rock with an oval track car. Should be a lot of scary moments. That's what I'm gonna assume.
Well, we are looking forward to seeing that unfold. Keith, thank you so much for dropping by. Congrats on the podium.
Thank you. Have a good night, guys.
You as well. That was Keith Mayato, P2, runner-up by just a tad to the next person who will be joining us up here in the booth, Bradley.
Well, and we were talking about the statistics. 3/4 of this race, the other quarter goes to Keith Mayato. Nobody else led this race at all here tonight. But it was the guy that was dominant, and Alex put it the best way. It kind of felt like you had to steal this one back. You had it all night. You were dominant. And, Brody, it's one of those races where cautions at the very end, they throw it all away. Everything that you planned for, all the strategy, your discipline, how you drove the racetrack, it doesn't mean anything. You had to make a 2-tire call and defend off a teammate. How does it feel to get this car back in victory lane?
Man, it feels good to finally win one of these things. It's pretty hard to win in this league. There's so many guys that can win in week in and week out. I kind of I had to steal it back. I think Keith was better than me all race. I just had enough to keep him behind me. I told him that's the last time I give him some pointers in practice on how to run this thing. But no, it was fun battling. I made a mistake and he got by me, and luckily I was able to make a two-tire call there and get back out front, and had a caution to kind of break up those last 10 laps. So I had just enough to defend him at the end there.
Well, we go back. We were talking to Keith there. He said that you gave him pointers. He was a couple tenths off of you, and this is the last time you're going to help him out. We were talking about the restarts as well. You seem to be a rocket ship in that restart zone. You would pull away from the field, but then Keith was filling that mirror after about 10 laps, and he was right on that bumper. Do you think that interfered with maybe your strategy, how you approach this racetrack and how you were driving?
For sure. I mean, Keith is phenomenal at saving tires, and I think I did a little bit better job the first run, and I was doing some things a little different, and then I kind of migrated over to what he was doing in 1 and 2, and I just wasn't driving it the same way he was driving it, and I think it hurt me more than it was helping me. So I probably should have stayed with what I was doing. But I mean, it's fun to have teammates like that where you can kind of lean on each other and, well, this is what I'm doing, or this is what I'm doing, and kind of throw that back and forth. It makes for some pretty fun racing, and I mean, it's fun to do it every week.
You led 3/4 of this race. You make a 2-tire call. You fend off your teammate. You drove this racetrack like it was the last time you'd be behind the wheel. Congratulations, Brody, on this victory. Anybody you want to shout out?
Yeah, Florida Skin Doctor, thank them for coming on board this year. Everybody at BTDY for putting this on again. It's always fun every Tuesday. You guys up in the booth. This will be a fun one to go back and watch. But yeah, we'll go on to next week and see if we can't get one at Lime Rock.
Well, there you go. You already announced it for me. So 1 week's time, next Tuesday at 8:40, we'll see you going green flag racing and turning right in this ARCA Menard Series SS. But until then, Brody, enjoy this victory.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
So there you go. It has been concluded for the Kully Pipe and Steel Supply 150 at Gateway. Another fantastic race at BTDY. Hope you guys enjoyed it as well. If you did, you can look us up at VSPEED Sim on Twitter or vspeedsim.com. If there's anybody you know out there that is wanting to acquire or inquire about our services. Of course, Alex Gagnon up here in the booth with me. Any final thoughts before we let him go for 7 more days?
I tell you what, I feel like we have been spoiled here tonight. That was, I mean, start to finish, there was constantly something happening at the front of the field, and then the moment there wasn't, we'd come back and there's fantastic action happening from about, say 8th back through 15th. I mean, there was just a lot to take in tonight, and came down to final battle, alternating strategies between teammates. You can't ask for much more out of a race, to be honest with you.
Absolutely not. Again, you can catch us at 8:40 p.m. Eastern Time as we go to Lime Rock Race Park. And for Alex Gagnon, out of Baker in the background, he's making fantastic stuff here. I would like to get mine a little ironed out. We're trying, we're doing our best, but we have some great overlays. We got some great telemetry. We have some great racing. We still have more left this week. Alex, you'll be up in the booth with me this Wednesday as well for Racing Revolution and the Chapman Environmental Services Cup Series as they move on to their next week at Pocono. But until then, everybody, stay tracking. We'll see you next time.